We spoke earlier with the state's Democratic Senator Mark Kelly, a moderate Democrat who hasn't been afraid to break from the Biden administration at times. Take a listen. Senator, thank you so much for joining us. Of course, tonight, Tim Walz is going to be introducing himself to the American people. You've obviously known him for 2 decades, met him first through your wife in Congress when he was there as well. Give us kind of an anecdote, something that the American people don't know about Coach Walz.
Such a great guy. Gabby and Tim were freshmen together in the House, so they got sworn in together in 2007. So I've known him since then. And what you see is what you get with him. He's a teacher, a coach, service member, served our nation honorably for 24 years. And then went to Congress. I mean, for 12 years served with my wife, and he was there for her after she got shot and had to resign her seat about a year later. So I've known him for a long time. He and Gabby are buddies. It's great to see him in this role. And he and Kamala Harris are the people that are going to take this country forward into the future.
76 days until Election Day. Democrats are citing a massive bump in voter enthusiasm and volunteers in money. Is there any concern at all for you that Democrats might get complacent as we get closer to the election?
Of course. I mean, we've got to now figure out how to take this enthusiasm, and not just in this room. You saw what happened in Wisconsin yesterday. A week ago, Gabby and I were in Glendale, Arizona, right, part of Phoenix. There were 15,000 people in an arena like this. I've never, ever seen that kind of enthusiasm at a political event. And so my hope here is that we can take this enthusiasm that you see in this arena and across the country and turn it into votes.
As you know, Arizona could prove decisive when it comes to the election. Immigration certainly top of mind for many voters in your state. You've broken with the Biden-Harris administration in the past when it comes to the border and said that Democrats sometimes just don't understand the issue. Does Kamala Harris?
She does, yeah. And I've talked to her about this issue. She has come out publicly and said she would have supported that bipartisan border security bill that we negotiated, by the way, with the White House, with Kamala Harris, with the president, and with Republicans in the Senate. But then Donald Trump did something that I have to say it's one of the most hypocritical things I've ever seen anybody do. An issue that he talks about a lot. And then when we finally have an opportunity to do something significant about it in a bipartisan way through legislation, he tells the Republicans they are not allowed to vote for this. Now, he was pretty straightforward about why, right? He said he needed this as a campaign issue. So think about this for a second. In that legislation, there was more money for Border Patrol pay. We're going to hire more Border Patrol agents, more CBP officers. There's going to be more money for infrastructure to temporarily hold migrants as you adjudicate their asylum claims. There was also money in there to buy more fentanyl detection machines for ports of entry. So think about that, because that legislation didn't pass. They didn't have the opportunity to buy those fentanyl detection machines. What that means is more fentanyl comes into our country and more people die, because Donald Trump wanted to have this issue for an election. It's the most craven, hypocritical, awful political maneuver I have seen in my lifetime. Now, Kamala Harris gets it. That's why, she knows that border security deal is going to strengthen our country's borders, but at the same time, it's going to allow us to start working on comprehensive immigration reform, where we can provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, where we can do have immigration policies that support our economy.
Is that enough? I'm curious in particular for the voters in Arizona, because we know obviously your former governor said that she has failed, that she hasn't done enough and ultimately is going to have to answer for that on the campaign trail. And I'm just wondering, in Arizona in particular, has she been convincing?
Well, I was on the phone with one of our sheriffs just last week, talking about the numbers of migrants coming across the border. The numbers are down significantly. I mean, they're rather low at this point because of the executive actions that the Biden-Harris administration took after Donald Trump killed that border security bill deal.
Obviously, the military has come up on the campaign trail in recent days. You've defended Tim Walz with regard to, and obviously you're a Navy pilot. Tim Walz spent more than 2 decades in the
2
military
decades.
himself. And you've defended Tim Walz against the criticism from J.D. Vance, this idea of stolen valor. But I am curious because the campaign has since changed his bio on the website. Is there at all any legitimacy to the criticism?
No, not at all. Tim Walz served over 20 years. He retired from the Army National Guard after an honorable career of service. Once you get to 20 years, you get to decide when you're going to retire. And he served 24 years. And J.D. Vance should get this. I mean, I respect J.D. Vance's service in the Marine Corps. I served in the Navy for 25 years. We love the United States Marine Corps. They're the best. I would think a Marine would get this. Now, I don't expect the same from Donald Trump. I mean, here's a guy who disrespects service members, even service members who have paid the ultimate price. Donald Trump just doesn't get it. He has no idea what it means to sacrifice for a greater cause that isn't yourself.
Last question here. Obviously, you spent a lot of years as an astronaut. You've been to space. There are a number of people who say once you've gone there, it changes you. You're never the same. I'm curious how that perspective of looking at the world as this little ball changed you or makes you different as a politician.
Well, it made me realize that we are all in this together. You know, all of us, we are on an island in our solar system. People need to make no mistake, there's no place else to go. We are literally in this together.
Senator Mark Kelly, thank you so much for your time and your service.
Thanks.